Hey guys, so in this video we would be talking about how to set up a new project using Ezbake. So for starters, you will need the Periodics desktop app installed in your system. And along with the desktop app, you need to make sure that all of the tools listed inside desktop app have been installed like Homebrew, Node, Periodics CLI, Ezbake. These are some of the prerequisites you already need to have installed in your system before you go through further in this video. So once you have got these things installed, the next thing you would need is an empty Git repository to which you would actually push your code to your freshly baked project to. So I have two of them over here. First one is this best Salesforce DX project, and the second one is the best legacy Salesforce project. So as you can see, they do not have any source code in them, or any of the environment variables haven't been set up, so you could see that these repositories are blank. And now we would be using Ezbake to actually create a brand new project and populate this repository. So let's get started. So for those of you who do not know about Ezbake, Ezbake is a homegrown tool by the Apereo Digital team, and in Apereo DX we are leveraging it to create new projects, to scaffold new projects from pre-existing templates. And yeah, while doing the project setup, Ezbake asks you some questions that you answer, and based on your responses, it customizes your project as per your needs and pushes it to your Git repository. So there are two ways through which you could actually create a new project, new Periodics project. First one is through the desktop app. So as soon as you open the desktop app, you'll see this projects page, and here on the right hand side, you'll see an add project button. So let's just go ahead and click that. Once you click that, we can see it is asking for two things: the directory where we would like to actually create or store our project, and then the repository URL of the GitLab repo we just created, the empty repo to which this project should be pushed. So let's select a project directory. So this directory seems reasonable, and so let's select this one, and let's provide the URL for our GitLab repository. So let me just copy this URL and paste it over here. So there you go. Now the create the project button is available, and let's click that. So you can see ADX init command has run in background, and here you can see the options. It has started asking us questions that which type of project we would be developing. So this is the first way how you can create a project using the desktop app, and let me quickly show you the other way as well. So you can see you could simply open terminal, go into any directory where you would want to create your new project, and run the adx init command. So adx init command can also take some parameters, so you simply need to run help to see them. So you can see it takes a parameter -o, which is actually the URL of the Git destination repository. So let's try to run this adx init. Again, you can see it is asking us the same question, that which type of project we would be developing. And if you notice, I haven't provided the Git repo URL yet. So if I choose any of this project, it would start asking me now that what is the URL for my repository over here. So let's close this one and continue with the one we started from the desktop app. So for our first demo, let's select the Salesforce DX type of project. So you can see now it is asking me please provide a name for this project. So let's type as best sftx project. So now you can see it has started cloning the template repository from GitLab. So as I already told you, these template repositories actually contain the raw material or the ingredients that are required to customize your project. So based on the project that you have chosen, Salesforce DX or legacy Salesforce type, it would be asking you questions based on that. So those questions and those all of that secret sauce is stored in these template repositories. So let me just skip ahead to where we have actually cloned this repository. Okay, so we can see that it has finished cloning the repository. So let's just go ahead and start answering the questions. So here you can see the first question, will a project use CMC? So yes, best SFTX project. So now it is asking us that which CI system would we like to use. So right now the options are the GitLab CI and Bitbucket pipelines. As of now, we only have the YML generated or CI support for GitLab CI, but soon, depending upon what you answer to this question, would actually be generating the CI configuration file based on that. So let's select GitLab CI for now since we put in the repo URL of GitLab. Then this question is asking us that what is the URL of a CI system. Now it could be varied. You could be using Bitbucket. You could even be using GitLab, which is not on a Aperios instance, or you could be using GitHub or any other URL or any other Git repository of your choice. So let's select this default value for now. So now it is asking us that do we want Ezbake to actually build a CI YML file for us? So now YML file's purpose is basically a YML file is the heart of continuous integration. It contains all the information about how the jobs would run, when would they run. So if you really want continuous integration embedded in a project, you should answer yes to this. So let's answer yes. Then it's asking us that do we want quality scanning in our project using SonarQube. So let's select yes for now. If we answer no, what would happen is that job would be skipped from the YML file that would be generated especially for our project. Again, Sonar instances could be different. So let's select the Aperios default instance for now. Then this one is an interesting question that we do we want to automatically clean up the branches that have been merged. So based on our response, a job would be created in our YML file, which would do what exactly? It would be cleaning up the branches that have automatically been merged, and are old, so that your Git repository doesn't get into bad shape. It isn't clustered. So let's select yes for now. So now you can see it is asking for us the auth URL for our dev hub org. Now, even if you have worked with Salesforce DX, auth URL might sound a little bit unfamiliar to you. So if that is the case, we have our documentation. Let us pull up the documentation. So here you can see in our documentation we have explained that how to do Salesforce DX org authorization. So there are mainly three ways you could authorize an org with Salesforce DX CLI. The first one is using the auth web login, which would simply open the login page for the org, and you can enter your username and credential password as credentials to store that information into the command line interface. The second one is the auth sftx URL store, which is the one we would be using. So let's skip the description for that for just a second. And the third one is the auth JWT grunt. So now this is one of the most popular methods for interacting with continuous integration systems or authorizing orgs while using a CI script. But since it takes a little bit longer to set up, we are skipping it and using the sfdx url store instead. So how do you exactly get the auth url that Ezbake is asking you for? So let me show you. You open up another terminal side by side and you run sfdx force org list. So if you have already authorized any of the orgs that you would be using, like the dev org it's asking you the credentials for, you simply use that one. Otherwise you will have to first log in into a devhub org using sfdx auth web login, and once you have done that, then you would actually be using the display command, and let me show you how. So here you can see I have a bunch of orgs which I have linked to my command line interface. So let's use this dev hub, which is my Perio ID. So how to find the auth url for this one? It is really simple. I simply run sfdx force auth force org display, then I pass in the alias and also the verbose flag. So once I run this, we will actually get the auth url. So here is the auth url. As you can see, I just simply need to copy it and paste it in the Ezbake question over here. So as you see, as soon as I pasted that, I'm redirected to the next question, which is which orgs will I be using for my project. So this is again one of the important questions and decides how the jobs would be scheduled. So I can see here, you can see I could press space to select a single option, A to toggle all, A to select all, or I to inverse the selection. So if I choose only UAT in production, as it is indicated over here, then as soon as I commit to the master branch, two manual jobs will be created to deploy to UAT in production, the latest package that has been created. But if I choose all the three orgs, then committing to master would automatically deploy the package to SIT org and also create two manual jobs scheduled for UAT and production org. So basically this determines what should be the order of deployment and which are the orgs that you're using. So let's select all three for now. There we go. Again, it is asking us for the auth url for the sit org, so let us type anything right now. You could simply generate the auth url the same way I showed you for the dev hub. Auth url for sit. Of course this isn't going to work. I'm typing anything. Auth url for UAT, auth URL for production. So now you can see an interesting thing is happening. All of the questions have been answered, and now you can see like Ezbake is swapping up the template values. So what happens behind the scene is these answers that we have given are substituted in the template that was first downloaded, and this is how it actually customizes our project. So after swapping, you can see some other commands are running in the background, which is known as icing in Ezbake terms. So you could see applying icing. So in the background, it is running npm install, dynamically creating your YML file with all of the orgs that you have created and all of the jobs that you chose. Then all of your other CI secret, your environment variables are getting passed up. So CI secret actually pushes the environment variables to GitLab. Then some other things like sonar configuration files are being generated. The project is getting added to the list of periodics projects in the desktop app. And after everything is done, finally the project is pushed to Git repo. And we can see the message your project is ready, which means it is time for us to go into GitLab and actually see if it actually pushed anything. So here we are in the GitLab, and you can see I've already refreshed the page, and here you can see easy bake initial commit, and these are the files from the project that we have just created. So if let's open up some file and actually see if it contains the data we enter. So let's go into config appearer.json. So if you remember, we answered that we would be using CMC, and our product name would be best SFDX project. So yes, we can see that these are the template values that have been swapped. These are only two of them, but all of the answers we gave had some significance and have caused this project to be the way it is. So let's go ahead and also see if the environment variables have been set up. So here are the environment variables, and let's click on reveal values. If I do that, you would be able to see that yes, we have finally the values that we set. So here you can see the mock values that we set, and they have been set as environment variables. So our project is now ready for the actual development. You could even see that a CI job ran. It failed because we need to put in because we need to actually put in the packages inside the appear config.json file for it to be successful, to find any packages to package. But once we do that, we could go ahead and start developing. So now let's go ahead and see how do we actually create a legacy Salesforce project. So again, this time let's create a new project from the terminal instead of the desktop app. So let me run ADX init, and I would be choosing legacy Salesforce this time. Now it is asking me the repository where I want to push it to. So let me choose this one. Done. List. So again, you can see these are some of the questions we also saw in the Salesforce GX1. So these are the common questions which EasyBake is asking us. It is not the template value stored in the legacy Salesforce repository. So again, it has started cloning the legacy Salesforce template repository, and I'll let it clone it. Well, so it has finished cloning the repositories. So let's start answering the questions. So these are some of the common questions that all template repositories have. To choose GitLab. Again, we have seen all of these questions in the Salesforce GX repositories, so not explaining them. So this one is a different question. So in legacy Salesforce world, where we use many repositories, in Salesforce GX1 we have review apps for actually doing QA. But in legacy Salesforce world, we would be having a QA sandbox instead of a review app, since review apps is a feature we have taken from Scratch.org, which is a Salesforce GX feature. So here you can see there is one more org, that is the QA in the options. So based on which one we select out of these, our YAML would be configured in such a way that if we select this first option, committing on a feature branch would validate your code to the QA branch. And if I choose this one, then committing on a feature branch would validate your code to SIT branch. And so with this, like feature committing on a feature branch would validate a code against UAT, and committing on a feature branch would deploy a code against production. So we have covered basically most of the scenarios that any even complex project might use while development. So for now, let's select the first one, that is QA, SIT, UAT, and production. If we choose this, committing on a feature branch would validate your code against the QA environment. Then committing to the QA branch would deploy your code to the QA org and validate against the SIT environment. Moving upwards, committing your code on the SIT branch would actually deploy it to SIT and validate against UAT branch, UAT org. And finally, committing on master would deploy your code to production, deploy your code to UAT, and also validate on production as well. So how do you actually deploy to production then? So to for deploying to production, you'll have to pass in tags. You'll have to create tags on the commit that you want to deploy to production on master. So they are in the format of v hyphen 1.0.x. So whichever version depending upon you want to deploy to production. So you'll have to create these tags and push them to the GitLab repo. And once you do that, then a manual job would be scheduled to deploy to production. I know it sounds a little bit tough, but it really isn't, and you start to get it, and you start getting a hang of it as soon as you as soon as you start doing these things in a project on a daily basis. So let's select this one for now. So now it is asking us that which branch do we actually want feature branches being created from. So this is a question. This is an important question because while you're developing, everyone is committing on the QA branch. If your sprint is ongoing, you create a feature branch from QA and commit your code back to QA. So QA is supposed to have the latest code base, and you only commit to master like when your SIT testing has been done and your code is ready to be pushed at UAT. So if you create a feature branch from the master branch, then you might not always have the latest code base to work on, which is not very nice. So it is recommended that you select QA here. Then now it is asking us for the credentials of the orgs that we have specified. So some orgs and most of the orgs use custom domain as well. So if you want to specify that, you could specify it in here. So let's choose the default for now. And now it is asking me for the username of the QA org. So let me type in QA username, and now the password along with security token. QA password. Then this is for UAT. Let's just skip these SIT, and finally for production. So again, you can see swapping of the variables has been done, and after that icing steps have been started. So even the icing steps differ quite a lot based on which type of template repository you chose. So here you can see like we are adding some git tags which are helpful in deployment. So we did not have them in while we were developing for Salesforce DX. And again, the CI secret is being run, storing of personal token, create generation of sonar files, and finally we can see that our project icing has been applied and our project is ready to work on. So again, let's hop over onto GitLab and see if our code has been pushed over there. So this is GitLab. Let me reload the tab, and voila, here it is. So you can see, you can clearly see a different set of files than what we had in the Salesforce DX one. There is clearly a differentiation. So yes, it is a legacy Salesforce type of project. And let's again go into the CI/CD variables and actually check if they have any kind of or if the username and credentials have been passed over here. So here you can see there are a lot many environment variables than we actually had in the Salesforce DX project. But these are all useful. As you can see, most of them are the credentials. Apart from them, there are environment variables like deployment should be enabled or not, and the GitLab username, GitLab token. These are the common ones. Then the test suits, the test level, and of course the Sonar login. So again, the CI continuous integration has also been enabled since OML file has been pushed. So if I go into the pipelines, I would be able to see that the pipelines have started, and indeed yes, the pipelines have succeeded with 3 jobs: Sonar job, a deploy to UAT job, and a validation against production job, and all of them have been successful. So you can straight away put your code inside this repository and start deploying. So that's it for this video, guys. uh, Hope you learned something. Thank you.